His office is one of the most important and effective guardians of the trillions of dollars taxpayers have at risk in the massive bailouts of large financial institutions. Unfortunately, as Kansas City Fed Reserve President Thomas Hennick testified earlier this week, these bailouts, as implemented, quote, risk prolonging the crisis while increasing the cost, unquote. In this context, I found the Inspector General's most recent report quite disturbing. Mr. Brofsky, your report contains very troubling information that has not been previously disclosed. This report identifies numerous key weaknesses in the design and implementation of the government bailouts that could greatly increase their cost. For example, according to your report, the Treasury Department has indicated it will not adopt the Special Inspector General's recommendations that all TARP recipients account for the use of TARP funds, set up internal controls to comply with such accounting, and report periodically to Treasury on the results with appropriate sworn certifications, unquote. The complexity and lack of transparency in TARP programs are further reason for concern. I think the key question before the committee this morning is, why does Treasury continue to resist adopting many of the common sense safeguards recommended in your report? The massive public-private investment program unveiled by Secretary Geithner is, to many, key to our nation's economic recovery. Your report notes many aspects of the public-private investment program could make it inherently vulnerable to fraud, waste, and abuse. Vulnerabilities include the huge size of the program, along with conflicts of interest, collusion, and money laundering. With regard to money laundering, which you identify as a potential risk, your report notes it would be unacceptable if TARP or related funds, quote, were used to leverage the profits of drug cartels or organized crime groups, unquote. Unlike banks and retail brokers, the government's proposed public-private partnerships are not currently subject to comparable disclosure rules to prevent money laundering and abuse. The question is, why not? Furthermore, the report demonstrates how interactions between two different bailout programs could encourage excessive leverage and greatly magnify taxpayer losses. In other words, without adequate protections, the toxic loan program could be gained for profit by the financial institutions it is trying to save, or used as a legal vehicle for those who cannot launder their money through existing financial institutions. The question is, why not address in advance the vulnerabilities your report has identified? With regard to another component of the bailouts administered by the Fed, your report said Treasury should require additional anti-fraud and credit protection provisions specific to all mortgage-backed securities before participating in an expanded TALF, including minimum underwriting standards and other fraud prevention measures. According to the latest estimates, the amount of losses from toxic assets in the U.S. alone may be high as $2.7 trillion. This clearly is a huge potential liability for American taxpayers. Unfortunately, Treasury's financial rescue plan seems designed to marginalize Congress in this debate and avoid the appropriations process. Nonetheless, Congress should not finalize the 2009 budget resolution without considering the tremendous costs of the ongoing bailouts. Economic research shows that the national debt following this financial crisis may increase by as much as $8.5 trillion in as few as 3 years. This grim fiscal prospect should be an overriding consideration as we consider budget priorities and proposals for yet more spending. Congress should not go on an irresponsible spending spree, the trillions of dollars of bailouts already threatening the taxpayers. Inspector General, you've raised serious and troubling questions in your report. Let's hope we can receive satisfactory answers to them from this administration. And I would yield back.
I would now like to introduce